Nobody bumped into him. Nobody even walked too close to him, without permission. His men made sure of that everywhere he went. So when a young blind woman accidentally walked straight into him in a crowded hallway, everyone around froze, certain she was about to face his terrifying anger. Instead, what he said next left the entire room speechless. Stay till the end, because this story is going to touch your heart in ways you don't expect. The Grand Hotel lobby buzzed with activity that evening, filled with important guests attending a large charity gala hosted by several of the city's wealthiest families. Chandeliers sparkled above elegant crowds dressed in formal attire. Servers moved gracefully between guests carrying trays of champagne, and quiet conversations blended together into a steady hum of sophistication and wealth. Among the important guests that evening was Damien Cross, a man whose name alone commanded instant respect and fear throughout the city. Damien was the head of one of the most powerful and feared criminal organizations in the region, though publicly, he maintained the appearance of a successful, respected businessman. Tonight, he attended the gala purely for business purposes, using the event as an opportunity to quietly negotiate with several influential figures. Damien moved through the crowded lobby with calm, commanding confidence, his bodyguards discreetly positioned nearby, always alert, always ready. Everyone who noticed him instinctively created space, whispering quietly among themselves, careful never to approach too closely without proper invitation. At the same time, near the hotel's grand staircase, a young woman named Elena Martinez carefully navigated the crowded lobby, her white cane tapping gently against the polished marble floor. Elena had been blind since birth, but she refused to allow her condition to limit her independence. Tonight, she had come to the gala as a guest performer, invited to play a beautiful piece on the piano during the evening's entertainment segment. Elena moved confidently through familiar surroundings, having rehearsed her path through the lobby earlier that afternoon. However, the unusually large crowd tonight created unexpected obstacles, subtly shifting furniture and decorations that had not been present during her earlier rehearsal. As Elena carefully made her way toward the ballroom entrance, her cane accidentally caught against a decorative planter that had been moved slightly out of place. Momentarily losing her balance, she stumbled forward unexpectedly, colliding directly into someone standing nearby. The room around her seemed to freeze instantly. Gasps echoed softly through the crowd as everyone recognized exactly who Elena had just bumped into. Damien's bodyguards immediately tensed, ready to intervene, though they hesitated slightly, uncertain how their boss would react to such an unexpected, accidental encounter. Elena, unaware of the sudden tension surrounding her, quickly regained her balance, her hands instinctively reaching out to steady herself against the person she had collided with. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately, her voice genuine and apologetic. "I didn't mean to bump into you like that." Damien looked down at the young woman standing before him, her cane clutched nervously in one hand, her expression filled with genuine embarrassment rather than fear. For a brief moment, something unreadable flickered behind his usually cold, calculating eyes. The crowd around them remained completely silent, anxiously awaiting Damien's reaction. Everyone expected anger, perhaps even harsh words directed toward the woman who had unknowingly violated the unspoken rule surrounding his personal space. "It's all right," Damien said calmly, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Are you hurt?" Elena blinked in surprise, clearly caught off guard by his unexpectedly kind response. "No, I'm fine, thank you. I'm sorry again. I didn't realize someone was standing there." Whispers spread quickly through the surrounding crowd, everyone visibly stunned by Damien's uncharacteristically calm and gentle reaction. Nobody had ever witnessed him respond so patiently to something most people would have considered a serious offense. "It's understandable," Damien replied gently. "Accidents happen to everyone." Elena tilted her head curiously, sensing something unusual about the tone and reaction from the stranger she had bumped into, though she remained unaware of exactly who he truly was. "You're very understanding. Most people usually get annoyed when I accidentally bump into them." A faint, genuine smile touched Damien's lips, something rarely witnessed by anyone in his usual dangerous world. "I don't see any reason to be upset over something so simple." Nearby, Damien's bodyguards exchanged confused, astonished glances, silently questioning what they were witnessing. Their boss, known throughout the city for his intimidating and often ruthless reputation, was showing genuine patience and kindness toward a complete stranger. "I should probably get to the ballroom," Elena said, gently adjusting her cane. "I'm actually the pianist for tonight's entertainment." "I look forward to hearing you play," Damien said sincerely, stepping aside politely to allow her a clear path forward. Elena smiled warmly before continuing carefully toward the ballroom entrance, completely unaware of the astonished silence she left behind her. As she disappeared into the crowd, whispers erupted immediately throughout the lobby, everyone trying to understand exactly what they had just witnessed. Damien remained still for a long moment, watching the direction Elena had walked, an unfamiliar warmth lingering unexpectedly in his chest, something he had not experienced in a very long time. His closest bodyguard finally approached him cautiously. "Sir, are you all right?" Damien turned slowly, his expression unreadable once again, though something had clearly shifted within him. "Find out everything you can about her," he instructed quietly, discreetly. As his bodyguard nodded and quickly moved to follow his orders, nobody in that crowded lobby, including Damien himself, fully understood yet just how significantly this simple, accidental encounter was about to change everything. Elena made her way carefully toward the ballroom, her heart still slightly racing from the unexpected encounter in the lobby. Something about the stranger's calm, gentle voice lingered in her mind. Though she had no way of knowing the true identity of the powerful man she had just spoken with so casually. As she reached the small stage prepared for her performance, one of the event organizers greeted her warmly. "Elena, we're so glad you're here. The piano is set up exactly as you requested." "Thank you," Elena replied, allowing the organizer to guide her gently toward the grand piano positioned at the center of the stage. She settled comfortably onto the bench, her fingers gently finding their familiar position along the keys, ready to begin her performance once the event officially called for entertainment. Meanwhile, Damien's bodyguard, a loyal and efficient man named Sergio, quickly began gathering information about Elena, discreetly speaking with hotel staff and event organizers. Within 20 minutes, he returned to Damien, who had positioned himself near the entrance of the ballroom, waiting to hear Elena's performance. "Sir," Sergio reported quietly, "her name is Elena Martinez. She's 26 years old, blind since birth. She's an incredibly talented pianist, teaches music lessons at a local community center, and was invited tonight specifically for her musical talent." Damien listened carefully, his expression thoughtful. "Does she have any connections to dangerous individuals? Any family involved in criminal activity?" "None that we could find, sir," Sergio confirmed. "She comes from a simple, ordinary background. No connections whatsoever to anyone in our world." Damien nodded slowly, processing this information carefully. Despite years of calculated caution surrounding every relationship and encounter in his dangerous world, something about Elena's genuine warmth and honesty had unexpectedly captured his attention, a rare occurrence for a man usually guarded against sincere emotional connections. As the event officially began, guests slowly gathered inside the elegant ballroom, taking their seats as the lights softly dimmed in preparation for the evening's entertainment. Damien found himself a seat near the front, his curiosity and unexpected interest drawing him closer than his usual cautious distance from public attention. Elena's fingers gently touched the piano keys, and soon, a beautiful, delicate melody filled the room, capturing everyone's attention completely. Her music was soft yet powerful, evoking genuine emotion from every listener, including Damien himself, who found himself unexpectedly moved by the raw sincerity of her performance. As Elena's piece concluded, the room erupted into enthusiastic applause, genuine admiration evident from every guest present. Elena smiled warmly, clearly grateful for the positive reception, though she remained completely unaware of the profound impact her simple, honest performance had left on one particular guest. After the performance concluded, guests slowly began mingling again, engaging in quiet conversations while enjoying refreshments throughout the elegant ballroom. Damien made his way carefully toward the stage, waiting patiently as Elena finished speaking with the event organizer. "That was truly beautiful," Damien said softly, approaching her carefully. Elena turned toward his familiar voice, recognizing him immediately from their earlier encounter. "Thank you," she said warmly. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." "I did genuinely," Damien replied honestly. "You have an incredible talent." Elena smiled, slightly amused. "You're quite persistent in your kindness, you know. Most people don't take this much interest in the entertainment." Damien chuckled softly, a sound rarely heard from him. "Perhaps I'm not most people." "Perhaps not," Elena agreed thoughtfully, tilting her head curiously. "You still haven't told me your name." Damien hesitated briefly, unsure exactly how much to reveal about his true identity. Finally, he decided honesty, at least partially, was the safer choice. "Damien," he said simply. "Damien Cross." Elena's expression remained unchanged, clearly unfamiliar with the weight his name typically carried within certain circles of the city. "It's nice to properly meet you, Damien." As their conversation continued naturally, neither aware of the curious, astonished glances they attracted from surrounding guests, Sergio watched carefully from a discreet distance, silently observing his boss engaging comfortably and genuinely with someone completely outside his usual dangerous world. Eventually, as the evening began winding down, Damien found himself reluctant to end their pleasant conversation. "Would you allow me to arrange transportation home for you this evening?" he asked politely. "It's the least I can do after your wonderful performance." Elena considered his offer thoughtfully before nodding. "That's very kind of you. Thank you." As Damien arranged for his private car to transport Elena safely home, Sergio quietly approached him, concern evident in his expression. "Sir, are you certain this is wise? Getting involved with someone completely outside our world carries significant risks." Damien's expression grew serious, though a quiet determination remained clear beneath his usual calculated caution. "I understand the risks, Sergio, but for the first time in years, I feel something genuine, something real. I'm not prepared to simply dismiss that." Sergio nodded respectfully, though concern lingered in his expression as he watched his boss personally escort Elena toward his private car, an action completely unprecedented given Damien's usual guarded, private nature. As the car pulled away from the hotel that evening, carrying Elena safely home, neither she nor Damien fully understood yet just how deeply their unexpected connection was about to challenge the dangerous world surrounding him, a world that rarely allowed genuine happiness to survive for very long. Over the following weeks, Damien found himself visiting Elena regularly, their friendship gradually deepening into something neither of them had originally expected. He often stopped by the small community center, where she taught music lessons, sitting quietly in the back, listening patiently as she guided young students through their piano practice with remarkable patience and warmth. "You keep showing up," Elena said one afternoon, smiling as she recognized his familiar presence entering the room. "Don't you have important business matters to attend to?" "Nothing more important than this," Damien replied honestly, settling into his usual chair near the back of the room. Elena's smile widened slightly, genuine happiness evident in her expression. "You're full of surprises, Damien Cross." Little did Elena know, Damien carried far more surprises and far more danger than she could possibly imagine. Despite his growing affection for her, he remained cautious, careful never to reveal the true, dangerous nature of his business, fearing it would immediately end whatever genuine connection they had begun building together. However, within Damien's organization, whispers of his unusual relationship with an ordinary, blind woman had already begun spreading, causing concern among certain members who worried about the potential vulnerabilities such a connection might create. Among those concerned was Damien's business rival, a calculating and ambitious man named Victor Reyes, who had long sought opportunities to weaken Damien's powerful position within the city's criminal underworld. When Victor learned of Damien's unexpected relationship with Elena, he immediately recognized a potential vulnerability he could exploit. "This blind woman could be exactly what we need," Victor explained calmly to his closest associates during a secretive meeting. "Damien has never allowed personal relationships to interfere with his usual caution. If we can use her carefully, we might finally find a way to weaken his control over the city." "What exactly do you propose?" one of his associates asked curiously. "For now, we simply watch and wait," Victor replied thoughtfully. But the moment an opportunity arises, we act quickly and decisively. Unaware of the danger quietly forming around her, Elena continued enjoying her growing friendship with Damien, gradually developing genuine feelings for him despite the mysterious uncertainty surrounding his true profession. One evening, after another pleasant dinner together at a quiet, private restaurant Damien frequently used for business meetings, Elena decided to address the growing curiosity she had been carefully avoiding. "Damien," she said gently, "can I ask you something personal?" "Of course," Damien replied, though a flicker of cautious tension crossed his expression. "What exactly do you do for a living?" Elena asked curiously. "You're always careful never to explain clearly, and I've noticed you're often accompanied by serious-looking men who seem more like bodyguards than friends." Damien hesitated, torn between his growing feelings for Elena and his instinct to protect her from the dangerous truth surrounding his life. Finally, he decided partial honesty was the safest path forward, at least for now. "I run several businesses throughout the city," Damien explained carefully. "Some of them require additional security due to the nature of certain partnerships and negotiations." Elena considered his explanation thoughtfully, sensing there was clearly more beneath the surface, though she chose not to press further, respecting his obvious hesitation to reveal more. "As long as you're not doing anything illegal," she said, half joking, unaware of how close her words hit toward an uncomfortable truth. Damien forced a reassuring smile, though guilt quietly gnawed at him internally. "Nothing you need to worry about," he said gently, avoiding a direct answer. As their relationship continued deepening over the following weeks, Damien found himself increasingly torn between his dangerous, controlled world and his genuine desire to protect and preserve the innocent happiness Elena brought into his life. Meanwhile, Victor Reyes patiently continued gathering information, carefully planning how best to exploit Damien's unexpected vulnerability. He soon discovered Elena's regular routine, including her weekly visits to the community center and her frequent walks through a quiet nearby park, information he intended to use carefully when the right opportunity finally presented itself. One quiet afternoon, as Elena walked through the familiar park near her apartment, enjoying the peaceful sounds of nature around her, she failed to notice a car slowly following her from a discreet distance, Victor's men carefully monitoring her movements, waiting patiently for their moment to strike. Unaware of the danger quietly approaching, Elena continued her peaceful walk, her thoughts drifting happily toward her growing relationship with Damien, completely unaware that her innocent, genuine happiness had unknowingly placed her directly in the crosshairs of a dangerous, calculated plan far beyond her understanding. Elena continued her peaceful walk through the park, her cane gently tapping along the familiar pathway, completely unaware of the car slowly trailing behind her. She hummed softly to herself, thinking about her upcoming dinner plans with Damien that evening, her heart light with genuine happiness she had not experienced in a very long time. As she approached a quieter section of the park, surrounded by tall trees and fewer visitors, the car finally stopped nearby. Two men stepped out quietly, moving swiftly and silently toward her. Before Elena could fully register the sound of approaching footsteps, a hand suddenly clamped firmly over her mouth, muffling her startled cry. Panic surged through her body as she felt herself being forcefully pulled backward, her cane falling uselessly to the ground. "Don't struggle," one of the men whispered harshly. "You're coming with us." Elena's heart pounded frantically as she was quickly forced into the waiting car, her mind racing with confusion and terror. Within moments, the vehicle sped away from the park, leaving behind only her abandoned cane as evidence of the sudden, terrifying abduction. Nearly an hour later, when Elena failed to arrive at their scheduled dinner, Damien's concern quickly grew into alarm. He immediately contacted Sergio, his voice tense with worry. "Elena isn't answering her phone. Something's wrong." Sergio wasted no time organizing an urgent search, quickly discovering Elena's abandoned cane near the park entrance, confirming Damien's worst fears. His expression darkened instantly, controlled anger replacing his usual calm composure. "Find her immediately," Damien ordered firmly, his voice dangerously low. "I don't care what resources it takes." As Damien's men began an urgent citywide search, Victor Reyes finally revealed himself, confidently confronting Damien through a carefully arranged phone call. "I believe you're looking for someone," Victor said calmly, his tone laced with dangerous satisfaction. Damien's grip tightened around his phone, barely controlling his rising fury. "Victor, I should have known you were behind this." "You've grown careless, Damien," Victor replied smoothly, allowing personal attachments to weaken your usual caution. "Now, you have a simple choice to make." "What do you want?" Damien demanded coldly. "Full control over your territory near the docks," Victor stated clearly. "Surrender that control peacefully, and your precious Elena will be returned unharmed." Damien's jaw clenched tightly, anger and fear mixing dangerously within him. "If anything happens to her, Victor, I promise you, there will be nowhere in this city you can hide from what I'll do to you." Victor merely chuckled coldly. "Threats won't help you now, Damien. You have 24 hours to decide. Choose wisely." The call ended abruptly, leaving Damien standing silently, his usual calculated composure completely shattered by fear and anger for Elena's safety. Sergio approached cautiously, sensing the dangerous tension radiating from his boss. "Sir, what are your orders?" Damien took a deep breath, forcing himself to regain control despite the storm of emotions threatening to overwhelm him. "Gather every reliable contact we have. I want Victor's location identified immediately. We're not waiting 24 hours. Meanwhile, Elena sat nervously in a dimly lit room, her hands bound, her heart racing with fear and confusion. She had no idea why she had been taken, or by whom, though she suspected it had something to do with Damien's mysterious world, the very world he had always carefully avoided fully explaining to her. The door to her room opened suddenly, and Victor stepped inside, his voice calm yet unmistakably menacing. "I apologize for the inconvenience, Miss Martinez, but you've become quite valuable leverage." "What do you want from me?" Elena asked, her voice trembling despite her attempt to remain calm. "Nothing personal," Victor replied coolly. "You're simply a means to an end, a way to finally weaken Damien's stubborn control over this city." Elena's fear intensified as she processed Victor's chilling words, finally understanding clearly the true danger surrounding the man she had grown to care for deeply. Despite her fear, she forced herself to remain calm, trusting that Damien would find a way to rescue her. Back at his headquarters, Damien worked tirelessly alongside Sergio and his most trusted men, carefully piecing together information to locate Victor's hidden location. Hours passed tensely, each minute increasing Damien's desperate worry for Elena's safety. Finally, as dawn approached, one of Damien's informants provided crucial information. "Sir, we've identified Victor's location. He's holding her at an abandoned warehouse near the old industrial district." Damien's expression hardened instantly into fierce determination. "Prepare everyone immediately. We're moving in now." As Damien and his men quickly organized a rescue operation, unaware of the dangerous confrontation awaiting them, Elena remained held captive, anxiously hoping desperately that Damien would arrive in time, unaware of just how dangerous the coming rescue attempt would truly become. Dawn broke quietly over the city as Damien's convoy of vehicles moved swiftly and silently toward the abandoned warehouse, where Victor held Elena captive. Every man in the convoy understood the seriousness of their mission, their expressions focused and determined, fully aware of how deeply this situation mattered to their boss. Inside the warehouse, Elena remained seated quietly, her hands still bound, though her fear had gradually transformed into cautious determination. She strained her ears carefully, listening intently to every sound around her, trying desperately to understand her surroundings, despite her inability to see. Victor entered the room again, his footsteps confident and calculated. "Your boyfriend is taking his time," he said mockingly. "Perhaps he doesn't value you as much as you thought." "He'll come," Elena replied firmly, refusing to allow Victor's words to shake her confidence. "You clearly don't understand him at all." Victor chuckled coldly, clearly amused by her unwavering faith. "We'll see soon enough." As Victor's men remained stationed carefully around the warehouse, unaware of Damien's rapidly approaching convoy, tension steadily built within the building, everyone anxiously anticipating the confrontation soon to unfold. Damien's convoy finally arrived quietly near the warehouse, his men swiftly and silently taking strategic positions around the building's perimeter. Damien himself moved cautiously toward the entrance, his expression cold and calculated, though internally, fierce determination and worry for Elena's safety consumed him entirely. "Sir," Sergio whispered quietly, "we're in position, awaiting your command." Damien nodded firmly. "Moving now." Instantly, Damien's men breached the warehouse entrance, quickly overwhelming Victor's surprised guards before they could properly react. Gunfire briefly echoed through the building as Damien's forces swiftly gained control, catching Victor's men completely off guard. Hearing the sudden chaos erupting outside her room, Elena's heart raced anxiously, uncertain exactly what was happening, though hopeful it meant Damien had finally arrived. Victor, realizing quickly that his plan was rapidly collapsing, rushed into Elena's room, grabbing her roughly and pulling a weapon from his jacket, positioning her protectively in front of himself as Damien burst through the door moments later. "Stay back!" Victor shouted nervously, his voice filled with desperation. "One more step and she's gone." Damien froze instantly, his eyes locking onto Elena's frightened expression, fierce anger and fear mixing dangerously within him. "Let her go, Victor. This ends now." "You should have simply given me what I wanted," Victor said, his voice trembling slightly beneath his forced confidence. "Now, we're both going to walk out of here together, and you're going to let us leave peacefully." "That's not going to happen," Damien replied coldly, taking a slow, deliberate step closer. Elena, sensing Victor's grip loosening slightly due to his nervous distraction, quickly recalled years of self-defense training she had learned specifically to protect herself despite her blindness. Using her sharp hearing and quick instincts, she suddenly drove her elbow firmly backward into Victor's stomach, catching him completely off guard. Victor stumbled backward in pain, his grip loosening enough for Elena to break free completely. Seizing the opportunity, Damien rushed forward immediately, quickly subduing Victor before he could recover or retaliate further. "Are you all right?" Damien asked urgently, pulling Elena protectively into his arms once Victor had been fully restrained by his men. "I'm okay," Elena reassured him, relief flooding through her voice as she clung tightly to him. "I knew you would come." Damien held her closely, overwhelming relief washing over him as he finally allowed himself to fully process just how close he had come to losing her. "I promise you, Elena, nothing like this will ever happen to you again." As Victor was taken into custody, his dangerous scheme completely dismantled, Damien's men quickly secured the warehouse, ensuring no further threats remained from Victor's now scattered and defeated followers. However, as Damien gently guided Elena outside the warehouse, ready to finally return her safely home, Sergio approached quickly, his expression tense with new concern. "Sir, we have another problem," Sergio said urgently. "Word of tonight's events has already begun spreading throughout the city. Other rival organizations are going to hear about Victor's failed attempt and about your relationship with Elena." Damien's expression tightened with renewed worry. "What are you saying, Sergio?" "I'm saying, sir," Sergio replied seriously, "that after tonight, Elena won't just be a target for Victor's followers. Every enemy you've ever made throughout your career will now know exactly how to hurt you." Damien glanced down at Elena, still held protectively in his arms, understanding clearly the seriousness of Sergio's warning. Despite finally rescuing her safely from immediate danger, he realized their difficulties were far from truly over. Damien brought Elena back to his private estate that night, unwilling to risk her safety by returning her to her own apartment until he fully understood the extent of the danger now surrounding her. The heavily guarded property, usually reserved only for Damien's closest business matters, suddenly became Elena's temporary home. "You'll be safe here," Damien assured her gently, guiding her carefully through the unfamiliar halls of his estate. "Nobody gets past this level of security." Elena nodded, though uncertainty lingered in her expression. "Damien, I need to understand exactly what I've got myself into. Sergio mentioned enemies, rival organizations. What exactly do you do?" Damien sighed heavily, finally realizing the time for careful half-truths had come to an end. He gently guided her to sit down in his private study, taking a seat beside her. "Elena," he began seriously, "I haven't been completely honest with you about my life. I don't just run ordinary businesses. I lead one of the most powerful criminal organizations in this entire city." Elena's breath caught sharply, the weight of his confession settling heavily around them. You're a criminal?" "Yes," Damien admitted honestly, his voice filled with genuine regret. "I built this life long before I met you, through violence, fear, and difficult choices I'm not proud of. I should have told you the truth from the very beginning, but I was terrified of losing you." Elena sat silently for a long moment, processing this overwhelming revelation. Memories of their pleasant conversations and gentle moments together now colored differently by this dangerous truth. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she finally asked quietly. "Because for the first time in years, I felt something genuine, something real," Damien explained honestly. "I was afraid that once you knew the truth, you would never look at me the same way again." Elena considered his words carefully, torn between genuine hurt at his deception and understanding of his difficult, complicated position. "Damien, I care about you deeply, but you kept something this significant hidden from me. How can I trust you completely now?" "I understand your hesitation," Damien said softly, "but I promise you, everything else about what I feel for you has been genuine. Every conversation, every moment we've shared, that was never a lie." Their conversation was suddenly interrupted by Sergio's urgent knock at the study door. "Sir, I apologize for interrupting, but we have an urgent situation." Word has spread quickly through several rival organizations. It appears at least 2 other groups are considering using Elena as leverage against you, following Victor's failed attempt. Damien's expression hardened instantly, protective determination replacing his earlier vulnerability. "Increase security around the estate immediately. Nobody gets anywhere near her." As Sergio quickly left to carry out his orders, Elena's fear and uncertainty deepened further. "Damien, this is exactly the kind of danger I never wanted to be part of." "I know," Damien said quietly, guilt evident in his voice. "And I completely understand if you want nothing more to do with me after everything that's happened. But please, let me at least ensure your safety before you decide anything further." Elena nodded slowly, though conflicting emotions swirled within her, torn between genuine fear for her safety and the deep affection she still felt toward Damien despite his dangerous secret. Over the following days, Damien worked tirelessly alongside his most trusted men, carefully strengthening security and quietly negotiating with rival organizations, attempting to diplomatically resolve the growing tension before violence could erupt further. Meanwhile, Elena remained cautiously isolated within Damien's heavily guarded estate, her mind constantly wrestling with difficult questions about her future, her safety, and her genuine feelings toward a man whose dangerous world had suddenly become inseparable from her own life. One quiet afternoon, as Elena sat alone in the estate's peaceful garden, carefully enjoying the gentle sounds of nature around her, Damien approached quietly, sitting down beside her. "I've spent the last several days trying to resolve this situation peacefully," Damien explained gently. "But I understand if that's not enough, if the danger surrounding my life is simply too much for you to accept." Elena remained thoughtful for a long moment before finally speaking. "Damien, I won't pretend this isn't terrifying, but I also can't deny what I feel for you, despite everything that's happened." Damien's expression softened with cautious hope. "What are you saying, Elena?" "I'm saying," Elena replied carefully, "that if we're going to continue this relationship, there can be no more secrets between us. I need complete honesty, regardless of how difficult or dangerous the truth might be." Damien nodded firmly, genuine relief and determination evident in his expression. "I promise you, Elena, complete honesty from now on." As their fragile trust slowly began rebuilding, neither Elena nor Damien realized that the true danger threatening their newfound understanding was only just beginning, as rival organizations continued quietly maneuvering, patiently waiting for their own opportunity to strike. 2 weeks passed with careful tension as Damien worked diligently to secure a lasting peace with the rival organizations circling around the vulnerability Victor had exposed. Through a combination of firm negotiation and quiet displays of strength, Damien slowly convinced each rival group that targeting Elena would bring consequences far greater than any potential reward. During this tense period, Elena remained cautiously within Damien's protected estate, though her fear gradually gave way to a steady, quiet courage. She spent her mornings teaching herself the layout of his gardens, refusing to let danger keep her confined indoors completely, and her evenings sharing honest conversations with Damien, both of them slowly rebuilding trust through complete transparency. "You've been different since that night," Elena observed one evening, sitting beside him in the quiet study. "Calmer, somehow, even with everything happening around us." "I finally stopped hiding," Damien admitted. "Keeping secrets from you took more effort than I realized. Being honest, even about something this difficult, feels like carrying a lighter weight." Elena smiled softly, reaching for his hand. "I'm glad you told me the truth, even though it terrified me at first. I'd rather know exactly who you are than love an idea of someone that doesn't fully exist." Their quiet moment was interrupted by Sergio, who entered with unusually calm news for once. "Sir, the last of the rival groups has agreed to your terms. They understand clearly that threatening Elena means direct war with our entire organization, and none of them are prepared for that cost." Relief spread across Damien's face, the constant tension of recent weeks finally beginning to ease. "Good. Keep monitoring the situation regardless. I won't take any chances with her safety." "Understood, sir," Sergio replied before leaving them alone once again. With the immediate danger finally resolved, Damien decided it was time to properly reintroduce Elena into the world beyond his guarded estate, starting with a return to the very charity gala where their unexpected story had first begun exactly 1 year earlier. The Grand Hotel ballroom looked much the same as Elena remembered from her first performance, chandeliers glowing warmly above elegantly dressed guests, quiet conversations blending into comfortable harmony throughout the room. This time, however, Elena arrived confidently on Damien's arm, no longer an unfamiliar stranger navigating unfamiliar surroundings, but someone whose presence beside the city's most powerful man had become widely known and quietly respected. As they entered together, the room's usual polite whispers grew slightly louder, curious guests recognizing the remarkable young woman who had somehow captured the heart of a man most people knew only through fear and rumor. Elena once again took her place at the grand piano, invited back this year as the event's featured performer. Before beginning her piece, she paused thoughtfully, addressing the quietly attentive audience. "Exactly 1 year ago, I accidentally bumped into a stranger in this very lobby," Elena said, her voice carrying gently through the silent room. "I apologized, embarrassed by my mistake, expecting perhaps annoyance or impatience in return." The room remained completely silent, guests listening intently, several recognizing exactly which encounter she was describing. "Instead," Elena continued, a warm smile spreading across her face, "he simply said, 'It's all right. Are you hurt?'" Such a small, simple question, yet it silenced an entire room full of people who expected something very different. Quiet, genuine laughter and warm smiles spread through the guests, many recalling that exact astonishing moment themselves. Damien, standing quietly near the stage, felt his chest tighten with genuine emotion, watching Elena share their story so openly and confidently in front of everyone. "That single moment of unexpected kindness changed my life completely," Elena finished softly. "This piece is for him." As Elena's fingers gently touched the piano keys once again, a beautiful, heartfelt melody filled the room, more emotional and personal than anything she had ever performed before. Every guest listened intently, genuinely moved by the raw sincerity of her music and the remarkable story behind it. When her performance finally concluded, the room erupted into warm, enthusiastic applause, many guests wiping away unexpected tears, deeply touched by the genuine love story unfolding before them. Damien walked forward slowly as Elena finished, gently helping her down from the stage, his usual guarded expression completely replaced by open, genuine affection. "That was beautiful," he said softly, echoing his very first words to her performance exactly 1 year earlier. "I meant every word," Elena replied warmly, her hand finding his naturally. As they stood together, surrounded by guests who had witnessed the beginning and continuation of their remarkable story, Damien gently reached into his jacket pocket, retrieving a small velvet box he had carefully prepared for this exact moment. Kneeling down carefully in front of her, he spoke clearly enough for the entire quiet room to hear. "Elena, exactly 1 year ago, you accidentally walked into my life, and everything about who I was before that moment changed completely. I've never known genuine happiness the way I've known it with you." Elena's breath caught, tears of joy beginning to form as she listened carefully. "I know my world is dangerous," Damien continued honestly. "I know loving me comes with risks most people would never willingly accept. But I promise you, for as long as I live, I will protect you, cherish you, and never hide the truth from you again." The room fell into complete, anticipatory silence, every guest watching intently as Damien opened the small box, revealing a beautiful ring inside. "Elena Martinez, will you marry me?" Elena, though unable to see the ring or his hopeful expression, felt every word deeply, genuine happiness overwhelming her completely. "Yes," she said softly, then more confidently. "Yes, absolutely yes." The room erupted into joyful applause and cheers, guests genuinely moved by witnessing such a heartfelt, unexpected conclusion to a story that had captured their curiosity for an entire year. As Damien gently slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a warm, loving embrace, both of them understood clearly that their extraordinary journey, beginning with one simple, accidental collision and one unexpectedly gentle response, had finally led them exactly where they were always meant to be.